creation broadcast, we are going to be building a book cover live together on air. And if you're jumping in, I want to hear from you. Who are you and where are you joining me from? Every single week, we vote on my Instagram stories and you pick the genre that we're going to be working in. And today, we actually have a little bit of a spin on our usual vote because I didn't let you guys vote because I had an idea and we're voting right here. So if you're jumping in, I'm going to need to hear from you. We are going to be working with Photoshop CC, and we are going to be working with Eebook Intuos Pro editing tablet, as well as my blue light blocking glasses so I don't burn my eyes out while we're working. And we are going to be creating a book cover together. So today, we are either going to be working with kind of like a ethereal goddess look, or we are going to be working toward more of a contemporary cover look. So I want to jump on and I want to let you guys know that we are going to be kind of deciding this together. I'm super excited that you all are here and joining me. Hello, hello. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at some of the pieces we're going to be using for this. Keep your questions coming in as we are doing this. I want to talk to you as we are working. I do have my comments over on the side, and I will be looking at those as we go. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you kind of some of the elements we're going to be working with, and you get to tell me, are we going more of a contemporary look, or are we going more of the ethereal goddess look? I think I have an opinion on which I want, but we'll see when we get to that point. So this is the model I'm going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to cut her out here. And then once we get to kind of like the foundational stuff, we will decide which path we're going to be taking with this. So I'm just using my quick selection tool, and Photoshop was just taking a hot minute there for me to actually get that outlined. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. The quick selection tool is really nice because it it lassos things very, very easily. And so I am just kind of grabbing the lasso tool now, and I'm just holding down the option button. That removes anything that I don't want, and then shift adds anything in that I want. So I am just kind of going around her fingertips here, just cutting this out a little bit better, and then I'll refine it as soon as I put my layer mask on it. Now, layer masks are cool because they remove things outside of them without being destructive, which means I can fix things if I make a mistake. I'm grabbing a hard round brush on 100% opacity, and I'm zooming in because you can see where it cut it out. We don't have nice clean lines. So I am definitely coming in because a lot of this is going to be seen on that cover. I am coming in and I'm just following the natural line of the fabric in the dress, and I am just starting to clean this up a little bit. Now, typically I don't worry too much until I have my background on there so I can see, so I can see where the lines are that I really need to be following and cleaning up, but there was so much pixelation on this. I did want to just jump in and start to clean this up a little bit so we can have a better idea of where we are going with this. You can kind of see along the bottom line, we are getting a little bit of that pixelation too. We're getting a little bit of a halo effect, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean that up just a touch. Again, I still see that there's a lot of it there. I'm not super worried about it until I get my background in there and I start designing it, so that I can really refine that the proper way. You can kind of see it cut off a little bit of her hand here, a little bit of her arm, and I want you to start thinking, are we going contemporary or are we going goddess on this one? If you have an opinion, feel free to vote now. I'll ask officially in a minute, but I'm just cleaning up her finger just a little bit and removing any of this light color behind her with that hard round brush on a very small size so I can get in there and handle all the details for this. And then I'm just cleaning up the opposite arm as well. I do have work to do on the other side of this, but we are just going to go ahead and we're going to clean this up. I see comments are coming in. I do have partially blocked comments on here. That was wrong. My screen is on top of it, so I can't see all of them, is what I was getting at. So I will be checking those in just a second because I want to keep painting this off here. And just kind of refining her arm line just a little bit. I'm up toward her neck right now, and I'm just kind of pulling that in. We will be adding some wispies into her hair there so that it's not that super harsh line of the cutout hair. But we are just kind of filling this in here. And if you've got questions, if you've got comments, if you want to hear stories while I am working, I can do that as well. If you want to talk about the time I signed at New York Comic Con with Veronica Roth of Divergent, or if you want to hear about some of my other author-y things that I've done, the time I hung out with Disney animator who created The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. Happy to get those questions answered too, but we're also talking all things Photoshop and design as well. So if you've got questions about the publishing industry and how covers play into the sale of books, I'm happy to get that answered as well. Real quick, just checking in with you guys. Goddess. Okay. That wasn't even a question, was it? It was not. Let me go ahead and pull this back. There we go. I'm going to move my model now over to kind of the center here, and I want to show you a little bit about the background. Now, I am planning on doing like a frame. So I'm going to have frames up here, and actually maybe my next step should be my frames. I think it should be. Let me go ahead and I'm going to pull up my frames, and I actually have quite a few potential corners here. Wow, that's going to have to come up a little bit. There we go. So now I'm just going to take a look at these. I'm going to kind of see what is going to fit this best because I haven't decided yet. I had no idea what I was going to be doing, so we're going to work on that now. I'm seeing some swirly ones that I like. Let me go ahead and I'm just going to grab a couple of these that I'm considering. I'm just going to, what I'm doing is just selecting them with the rectangular tool, and then I am just right-clicking and getting the copy button here. Where's the one that I was just looking at? It wasn't this one, but I'm going to grab that one anyway because it's a potential option. And I am just kind of looking for things that might look good with this that I could also be building out just a little bit. And we can go ahead and let's just play with the three of those. Let's take a look at those three. So at that point, I'm just going to grab my selection tool and I'm just going to kind of move these over and I'm going to kind of see which one fits best. So of these, what do we feel like is more goddessy like? I kind of like this top one here, like the one in the corner, is a little round for me, I think, on this one. I think I want it to be a little more rectangular. So let me go ahead and I'm actually going to take that one out of the running. I feel like I'm probably going to run with the one with the pointy corner. Let's see what happens when we do that. And I am just going to come in, and I guess I'm going to grab my magic wand tool here. Probably would make the most sense. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. And for something like this, you can kind of see that the lines are not all connected. So instead of just grabbing the black, I'm going to grab the white because that would be a lot of work on the, oops, wrong layer. Wrong layer. Sometimes you get that. That would be a lot of work to get to the black. So I clicked on the white layer and I'm going to delete that. And then I'm just going to go in and by hand just remove any of the white areas that I see. And then in a second, I'm going to change how this looks. Now I can, if you notice, there are still some white pieces here. I could go in and I could remove those if I wanted to, but for the most part, it's not going to make much of a difference. It's just going to kind of look like part of it when I color over it. So let me go ahead. I'm going to back this up a bit. And I'm going to now move this layer up to my corner here. And then I'm going to use the command button and I'm going to click on the layer which highlights it. I'm then going to add a new blank layer, and on a white brush, 100% opacity, I am going to color over it. So all of a sudden, I now have that corner in a color that's going to cooperate with me a little bit better. Now I'm going to build the frame out, and we're going to work on the effects on the frame in just a minute. So I do need to back up just a touch, and I am going to go ahead and I am going to duplicate that corner and then rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. And I'm just going to drag that baby over. Really, is that the game we're playing? Sometimes it grabs more than one layer. Really? Okay. There we go. So we're just going to build this out. Now, keeping in mind, as you're designing book covers, they do have that framework around it, the template you have to work in. And so you are going to be off-center because you have to have more of a gap on the right side than the left side, which means you're actually going to have to pull this in just a little bit more for it to be equal. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to duplicate both of those layers, and then I am going to go into edit down to my transform and to my vertical. I had to think, was it horizontal or vertical? Sometimes you get it wrong. And I'm just going to tap that right in there. Now we are going to be moving some of the other stuff around. It's going to change in just a minute, but I want to hear from you. Do you think I should do a very big frame or a smaller frame? I did tell you at the beginning of this that I do want to actually be doing a more of a text-heavy cover here. So she's probably, my model is probably going to stay a little bit on the smaller side. And in fact, let me go ahead and just probably put that up there out of my way for the moment. As I am continuing to build out my frame, I'm just going to zoom in on this a little bit, and I am going to, probably it will be smarter for me to add in my title. I did think of a really long, like fancy-ish title. Wow, I had an accent there. That was fun. Kind of a fancy title, so I am going to pop that in here because I think that's going to really determine how I'm doing things and where I'm doing things. So I did write this down, and you know we do our titles on different points and different layers is the word, so that we can move it around and adjust it where we need to make that work properly. So I'm going to call this, and this font actually might work for me since we're doing goddess. And I do want my font to kind of play in with my frame as well. So I really like how that T parlays with the other thing. I might have to move it because, again, we want the text heavy. So this might not be the best placement for this. I'm going to write mercy. So I'm calling it the mercy of the moonlit night. I don't know why. It sounds fun and fancy, and I'm just running with it. So y'all are running with it as well. And with a text-heavy cover, typically our words are going to be bigger, but they almost kind of flow really cool, so we may have to, like, see what we got here. The mercy of the, and I can actually make that on one layer because those are just tiny words. Of the, oh man, we might have to make all of this bigger in just a moment, but I kind of like how this is playing into it. Let me go ahead and moonlit, and then one more space, and we are going to add in night. And then I'm just going to kind of adjust where this is falling. There we go. Okay, so then at that point, I am going to find all of those. Aha, I knew I had done that. We're going to find all of the words for the title, and I'm just going to put those all in one nice little folder so that I can then move it all together. You belong in there too, and then I can just turn that on and off. Beautiful, and now I can make it bigger. So I can actually bring this down just a little bit and kind of play with where maybe I want that, and maybe I'm going to have to redesign where some of these things are falling to make it fit better. It looks like I'm going to have to. So let me go ahead and let me just play with where I can kind of put these things in. But that also gives me the opportunity to make words bigger, which is what I wanted to do in the first place. And of course, with this cover, whoever buys this cover will have a different title, so I'll have to kind of lay it out differently. And let's just see. Just kind of like figuring out where that might look good and might fit. This might be a little text heavier than I thought it would be. Who knew? Who knew? There we go. Okay, that could potentially work. So then I've got my model here, and she's going to have to be smaller. There we go. And at that point, we're also going to have to mess with my author name as well. That definitely for sure is going to be smaller. And that'll probably go right about here, which we will change at some point. Okay, so now I need to build out my frame a little bit. Let me go ahead and work on that. I'm just going to find where my frame layer is. That's my frame. I have to learn to label things as we are talking. So the next step I'm going to do is kind of connect my frame. So I'm going to grab just the rectangular tool, and I am just very lightly going to draw some white lines in there. That is too thick of a line. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit, and I am going to come up here, and I'm just going to make this smaller so that it kind of starts to connect here. I do want to make it a little bit wider, just a touch wider. Sometimes when you are trying to make things wider or not as wide, you have to like zoom in super far so that it has the ability to not go quite as much as you need. Okay, there we go. I've connected that. This one needs to be a little shorter. Pull that right in here. There we go. Okay, so then at that point, I'm going to pull backwards, and now I need to start connecting things other places. So let me go ahead and start adding that in. I'm just going to duplicate that layer, and I'm going to grab more than one layer because my auto select turned on. Unfortunately, sometimes auto select happens, and then things move in ways that you don't want them to. So I'm just duplicating that layer, making sure my auto select is off this time. And I'm going to drag this baby right on down to that layer as well. And I almost kind of liked how that second line looked there. I might just add that back in, and I can then duplicate that and drag that up to the top so that it starts to match. All of a sudden, you see how the frame is starting to work with this. Hey, Amanda, thanks for joining. Appreciate y'all being here. Let me know, what do you guys think of creating covers online like this with your opinions? Are you enjoying these live streams? I always have fun doing these with you, but I never know if y'all like love them the way that I do. So let me know. I'm just kind of stretching out my lines here and just starting to attach all my frames. I really need to get the background in here because this dark color is throwing me and I don't love it. We're going with like a light blue, very airy cover. So I'll show you how that works in just a minute. Now, I am going to add some like fancy things to this. I'm going to add some fancy things to the framework as well. But I think my next step actually does need to be to finish up this background. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add in like a light blue color. And this, don't freak out, this is going to be a wall. We're going to remove the objects with this wall. All of a sudden, we've turned our girl into a teeny tiny person in a giant's home. I know, I know. We are going to go ahead and we are going to just slide, oops, wrong one. We're going to go ahead and we are going to slide this wall over because I kind of want this texture-y here. And then I have two ways of editing this. I could remove them. I could use like spot heal or clone and remove like the big furniture, or I can just duplicate this layer and I can slide it over and put a layer mask on it. And then on a soft round brush, 100% opacity on black, I am just taking it off where I don't want it. All of a sudden, look, it disappeared. Pretty cool, right? Now I can see already I have missed a little bit up at the top. So I'm actually going to have to adjust this. I'm going to grab both layers and duplicate them. And I am just going to make it a little bigger to cover the entirety of this. But don't forget, I still have to deal with the back cover of this. So I'm going to duplicate that one that I just brushed off a little bit. And I'm just going to slide it to the left. And then I am going to put it right there. And because I've got my layer mask on this, I have the ability to come in and just get rid of this chair. And I can kind of change it so it doesn't look like it's necessarily cloned. And look, all of a sudden, we've just dramatically changed how this cover looks. So now we actually have to kind of come in and start refining things and make sure we know what we're doing for this. So at this point, my next step is to start to, oh, Amanda, you're enjoying it. Fantastic. Well, this is fun. I'm glad you're here. We're going to change the contrast and the brightness of my model here, which we might make her bigger. We might make her smaller. I actually might, I'm going to duplicate this real fast. I just want to see what happens when I make it bigger. Because I can make it bigger and make her kind of, nah, we like the smaller look better. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add her back in. Like I said, we are going to add a moon to this in just a second. We're going to be very ethereal about it. So I'm just right now grabbing a brightness and contrast panel. I am clipping it to that layer. And the first thing I'm going to do is bump up my contrast. Second thing I'm going to do is bump up my brightness. All of a sudden, you see how that starts to pop a little bit. Now, I don't want to neglect to kind of change my background a little bit. I do want to make this, because right now it's a little bit dragging down on the color. So I want to actually come in with a contrast, a brightness and contrast panel. And I do want to brighten this up a little bit, but I really want to play up my contrast on that. And I may need to desaturate that a little bit just so it's not quite so bright. So I'm actually going to go into my hue and saturation panel, and I'm just going to drag down my saturation. to make it a little more on the desaturated side. So saturation adds color, desaturation takes away color. If you've ever seen like the selection series covers, if you look at the model, the first model has desaturated skin, so she's more of a grayish color, whereas all the other ones in the series are more of a saturated look and it has more of a natural skin tone. So that's how you can kind of do that in Photoshop. So just tone this down just a little bit. We're going to need to make the frame a little bit different, and we do kind of want to blend it into the look. So do you guys like the gold color of the font, or should I try another color font? That will impact how I am doing the frame. And while you tell me if we should change the color of the font or leave it gold, I am going to go ahead and I am going to add in my moon. So I have added my moon layer right here. There are two ways I can be doing this, and let me actually show you what this looks like. I'm going to drag this down beneath my model, and I am just going to reduce the size of this a little bit and pull that right about there. And then I'm just going to adjust it, make sure it's centered the way that I want it. That's a little bit better. Now I can, again, do two ways of doing this. So I have the ability to either change my blend mode from normal down to screen. The screen blend mode just changes the black. It takes the black away and it puts it in there. But actually, as I was doing that, ooh, y'all, sometimes you find a layer that you really like or a blend mode that you really like, and I love that so much. We're going to leave it probably on this lighten blend mode because that looks really, really cool. But I do want to show you the other way of getting that moon where you need it to be. So I'm going to duplicate that layer real fast, and then I'm going to change it back to normal. And for that, I would just grab a quick selection tool, an object selection tool, highlight that, and then put the layer mask over it. So it could be there a little bit brighter. We would obviously have to refine those edges. But I think do I? Guys, I don't know. Hold on. I'm gonna try something real quick. I'm gonna drag that down and add that there and take that on and off. Oh, you can't even see it. Let me refine the edge on this real fast because I feel like if I have both layers there, I can just do something really interesting with this. So I'm just gonna give that a test real fast. And I'm not even removing all of it. I'm not removing all of this. But I am kind of do that. I'm just removing some of this. So you can kind of see, look at how cool that looks, you guys. Okay, we're going to do that. I love it. I am going to save this real fast, and then I'm going to check in to see if we are changing font colors. You think you like the gold, and you like the lightened moon. Yeah, I like this. I like this. So my next step is actually going to be to add in some frilly things to this, build out my frame a little bit, and then we're going to turn the frame gold as well. Speaking of which, by the way, if you are a publisher or an author looking for a cover and this is the one you like, you can buy it while I'm on air for only $100. Otherwise, it goes back into coveraday.com and it'll be $250 or more. So while we're on air right now, you can get it for only $100. I'm just saying, there's also tons, like literal hundreds of pre-made covers over there and custom covers that you can go check out. All those fun, fabulous things. And I'm going to start to add in some detail work. So I'm just I have like little squiggly things in a folder. I know you guys can't see them, but I'm just kind of going through them to see what might work well with this cover. So let me actually get to my frame right there. There we go. And I'm just going to start adding stuff in, and I am going to like rotate. I'm going to build this out just a little bit. Things may work, things may not work. We shall see as we go. Kind of add stuff in. And so I will just highlight that one. I'm going to paint over it with white. I know it's not going to like me. I got you. There we go. Yeah, so I'm just going to start filling things in, just kind of blending things in different areas, creating different looks to this, because I don't necessarily want it to be super symmetrical as I'm doing this. So I am just kind of figuring out where I might want these to go. And again, not super symmetrical. So I am going to rotate that one 80 degrees, and I'm just going to put that up here. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to use Command and click on the layer to grab that. It will want me to rasterize it in just a moment. There we go. And I'm going to paint over it in white. So when I'm making this metallic-y look, we do start with a white base, and then we add in the metallic effect after. So I am just kind of grabbing some stuff that I think could potentially work with this, and I'm just pulling it into where it might look cool. And I'm trying to decide if I want to flip that one or not. I might actually flip that. So I'm going into Edit, down to Transform, over to Flip Horizontally. And then I'm just going to bump that over. Yeah, I think I like that better. And again, we will hit Command and grab that layer. We will have to rasterize it and paint over that in white. And then we can continue to build this out just a little bit. Yep. Checking in on the comments, guys. Checking in on the comments. I can make things bigger. I can make things smaller. I can add in more details. I can actually erase some of these if I need to. I'm just kind of rotating these in different ways using both the rotation tool, but also just kind of using the actual rotate. Like you can rotate if you hit the transform button on this. So that's just Command T. On a Mac, keyboard shortcuts for Photoshop are the best thing ever. Those are super, super helpful, so you don't have to go like look up all the tools and all the things. You can just kind of paint things in here. So I'm just kind of adding in some detail work. And we're just kind of blending some of this in a little bit. Oh, that might be cute. I kind of like that. I want to bump it down just a touch so that it kind of fits with that. There we go. And of course, we are just rasterizing this layer every single time, painting over it. When I'm all done, I'm going to put it in one single folder. And oh, that's kind of cool. I think I want some on the outside though too. I'm going to put it in one single folder, and then that single folder is going to get turned into a smart object. And where do I want this? Then that will be changed into like the pretty gold colors and things. Yeah, maybe I want to keep it inside of that frame. I'm not really sure. Sometimes you just got to move things around and test things out and try things and see how they work. And oh, that might fit in there. Okay, let me rotate that just a little bit. Make it a tiny bit smaller. But I kind of like how frames sometimes go into the letters as well. And we're just going to, again, paint over this. I know this is kind of the boring stage of things as we are building this thing out. I got to do a little work on the bottom because right now it's very heavy on the top. We're going to have to do a little bit of work on the bottom. And I think I need something right there up in the, oh, I know you couldn't see that. I'm sorry. Let me find a little detail. That one's not it. Those are not it. Sometimes you just have to look and like, hope you find the right thing. I'm just going to rotate this a little bit. And, oh, that could work. Oh, there. That's a little better, I think. And make it a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to change it. If you're on the wrong tools, it won't move things properly. And so sometimes you have to like go in and change things up. Let me know, should I add some sparkles to this? We are going to do some sparkles on the lettering and probably on the frame, but should I have like falling stars in the background or something interesting like that? As I continue to kind of build this out, let me try. It's so hard to pick things sometimes. Oh, that could work. There we go. I'm just going to rotate this one. Fill that in there. Maybe I do need to like fully fill this out. Let me try. I'm going to try to flip that horizontally. There, that's a little bit better. And we're just going to continue to paint that in, always rasterizing the layers so that we can paint over it. Notice how I'm keeping this mostly within the confines of that red guideline around there so that things don't get cut off, or at least the important things don't get cut off. And then you can kind of go from there. Oh, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that, where that's laying. Maybe I want to shrink it just a little bit and pull it in just a touch, but I kind of like how that one looks. Just adjusting slightly. That'll blend in when it's white. Let me go ahead and make that white real fast. And we can add this in. You can't say no to sparkles. Me too. Let's just be honest. I'm kind of here for the sparkly things. Maybe my next step, the next thing that I want to do is actually to grab, and sometimes this actually blends things in better. I just grabbing a hard round brush on 100% opacity, and I'm just coming in and putting some dots in here. It kind of adds an element and some really cool details to it, and we're just in different areas kind of filling this out. It does make it, in some cases, a little bit on the heavy side, but that's okay. It's all good. We're just tying things together so that it looks like we intentionally did what we are intentionally doing. So I'm just pulling this in different locations. Sometimes we like seriously highlight it. Sometimes we just do little dots here and there. But we're just kind of pulling this in just a little bit to make that work. And again, this will, I'm in the bottom corner right under the author name. I see a chair leg. We're going to have to go in and fix that. Sometimes you just have to catch those things as they come up. So I'm going to finish adding my dots real fast. Kind of add those in a couple of places here so that it blends things together nicely. And I want to hear from you. For those of you in the US, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. What are your plans? I would love to hear from you as we are chatting and kind of doing the dot work over here. Okay, my next step real fast is going to be to fix that chair leg, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my frame. So I am just going to find, oh, here's the one. Got you. That was actually very easy to locate that one. There we go. That's removed. Okay, we're better now. Let me go back up to my frame. And this frame, because this is such a heavy and intense frame, I will probably duplicate this and put this on the back as well so I don't have to recreate another frame. So I'm just going to grab all elements connected to my frame, and I'm going to put them in a single folder. I'm going to label it frame. And let me just turn this on and off to make sure I got them all. Yes, I did. And then I'm going to duplicate this because I don't want to be destructive on this particular layer. So I duplicated it, and now I'm right-clicking and I'm turning it into a smart object. And now I'm just going to drag and drop the effects that I have on my title up to this. So I'm just holding the option button down, grabbing the effects, and just dragging it right on up. And boom, there it is. So we've got our frame in there. I can build things out if I need to, if I want to. But I'm kind of liking how this is looking. So I actually probably will leave this the way that it is. I'm going to real fast duplicate this, and I'm going to drag this baby over to the back cover so that it does fit in there as well. And oh, I see. Because I did actually design it to go partially over the thing. I'm like, it doesn't fit in my guidelines. No, we're good. I did that intentionally. My fancy hook line here, we will have to make smaller. So I just highlighted that real fast. There we go. And I'm just going to make that baby smaller and tuck that right in there. Of course, that will change based on the size of the book that the person who buys this has created. So now we come in and we do the flares. So you guys know I have my flare brushes. I actually have a flare in here somewhere from the last cover because I just reused the same guidelines for these. And I'm just going to pull this right on up to the top. And, oh, there it is, down at the bottom. It moved on me. I couldn't tell where it went. My computer's being a touch on the slow side. So I've got you can see my flare here. It's up by Mercy right now. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I am going to figure out which letters I would like this to be bouncing off of. Ooh, the O for sure. The O is where I like that. Let's see. I kind of want to keep it away from the moon so that it stands out a little bit more. Oh, well, now that looks good. I like that. I am going to duplicate this again. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because the letters up on the top, the beginning of that title, are definitely a different size. Therefore, the flare would also be a little bit of a different size. So I could put it on. Yeah, I could. I was going to move it to somewhere else, but I kind of like it the way it is. And that one might make for too much. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start framing with that flare. And so I'm just going to kind of look for a place for that to kind of fit in properly. And I'm just going to kind of add some flares to different places on this. I'm just kind of looking to see where it fits best. And we're just moving things around. This may not be the best flare for the frame, so I may actually change things up a little bit at some point. Here we go. And we're just kind of adding things in different locations. But let me know, guys, how are you celebrating Thanksgiving tomorrow? Are you going to be watching the parade? I am going over to my sister and brother-in-law's house because the baby is going to be watching the parade with us. She's almost 2, so she can finally grasp the concept of television. So it's going to be a fun holiday season for us, but I want to hear from you guys too. I'm just kind of putting flares on my back frame right now. And just looking to see where it kind of looks nice as it glows. There we go. We don't want to overdo the back. I do think that I want to add in a little bit of darkness to kind of frame this a little bit, and I'm going to add some of those floaty, flary things here and there. So let me go ahead. The next step I'm going to do is actually to darken this up, and I'm going to come right above my blue layer, the black background layer. And I am just going to grab, and this is a fun one, guys. You're going to like this. We're going to use a dodge and burn look to this. So I'm actually going to go up to layer, down to new, to layer, and then I am going to label this burn. I'm going to change my color to gray. I'm going to change my mode down to soft light, and then I'm going to fill that with soft light neutral density 50% gray, and I'm going to grab my burn tool. Burn makes things dark. Dodge makes things light. So we are actually coming in, and on a non-destructive layer, we are burning down the color to kind of tap that down just a little bit darker. I'm not putting it everywhere. I'm just kind of putting it around the edges, kind of in the cornery things. And I'm just kind of filling this in just a touch. You can see a very, very light change in this, which I actually may keep. I kind of like this, but I'm going to duplicate the layer so you can kind of see where it is darkening that down slowly because my computer's like, no. So you can see right there. I'm going to put the 2 I'm not keeping in a folder so I can turn that on and off. But you can see where I tap that on and off if my computer would speed up. There we go. So you can see where I added in that darkness, and that kind of grounds it a little bit. And in fact, I may actually use 2 layers of that burn layer. I'm just looking right now to see which one I like better. Yeah, I actually may. It does make it pop a little bit more. So I turned one of them off, left one of them on. And this is something I would also do on the back cover as well. So I am going to go ahead and I'm just going to add in a new burn layer so that I don't mess with what I've already created. And I'm just doing the same thing, and I'm just going to label it with the back cover of that. Filling again with the 50% gray. On my burn tool, I am just coming in and kind of defining where that spine is a little bit is what I'm mostly looking at. And this will change, please know, based on the author who buys it, so that it kind of frames the spine and it frames that back cover as well. Front cover won't change, but back cover and the spine will definitely have a slightly different look to it based on how thick the book is that the person who buys it is writing. Okay, so the next step real fast is going to be to do the spine work, and then we're going to put in some falling-y star type things. But are you liking this? Let me know down in the comments below if this is something that you are enjoying. Do you think that this is a cool book, and would you read something like this? I'm just pulling that out and moving that over. my computer's being a touch laggy today, so I apologize for that. I'm going to type in the night. Now with spines, sometimes we put like the big massive text on it for the bigger books, but because this is like a 700-page book that I'm designing right now, it will definitely be smaller than this. So I'm actually just putting it on a single line here. And then I'm going to bring it over, and I'm going to go up to edit, down to transform, down to rotate 90 degrees clockwise, and that's just going to flip it around, and then you can see how that fits on the spine. Now, depending on the size of the spine, I may do some framework on there, but I'm going to guess we're going to have a much smaller spine, and that title is going to take up an awful lot of it. I'm not going to do much work on the spine right now. I'm going to duplicate my author name. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate that 90 degrees clockwise. And then I am just going to grab that as soon as it turns. There we go. I'm going to make it a little smaller and pop that right on here. Again, all of this spine work is going to change once somebody buys it. And there's a different spine size. But you can kind of see how that is working and how that is looking. Oh, Jessica, you like it. So fun, right? Oh, you're going to your boyfriend's parents' house. That's awesome. Nice, nice. And dinner with your friends and family. Nerf War. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's awesome. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in a new blank layer. I'm going to grab my brush tool and I'm going to go down to my flare brushes. So I actually have to scroll. Oh, no, I don't, because I have one right at the top. Beautiful. I have now grabbed the layer, and I am just going to start tapping in a couple of places to add in some like star looks to this in different sizes. And I'm kind of tapping this in. Okay, now we have a lot of stars. Nah, I don't like all of this. Let me go back on this a little bit. Okay, that's better. Now, I do want those to stand out just a touch, so I'm actually going to go up to layer, down to layer style, down to outer glow. Just like I did with the other ones, you can see how it made it pink. Woo, made it pink, guys. We don't want pink. We want blue. So I'm going to go into my coloring, and I'm just going to go to like a very vibrant-y, robin eggy blue type thing. And that's really still very bright, so I'm just backing off my opacity. But you can see how it made it pop. And I'm just kind of seeing where else I might like to just like add one of those stars in. I will, of course, be adding things into the spine as well. And we mix these in like bigger and smaller. We're going to do some on the back cover as well. We could potentially put a moon on the back cover too, but I'm not overly worried about it because that'll be more of a text-heavy type thing. And we can add more of the stars in as well. And I can actually, if I wanted, put some stars outside of my frame too, which I hadn't done, but definitely could do. And fill that out. Look at how dang cool this looks, you guys. Oh, I like this. I like this a lot. I kind of want to rate this book. Y'all want to rate this book? I feel like I kind of want to rate this book. I am going to, real quick, just brighten this just a tiny bit. So I'm going to grab a brighten and contrast panel. And I just want to pull it up just ever so much, because with covers, we tend to over-exaggerate the contrast in this. So I've just brightened this just a little bit, and I've added in a little bit of contrast that'll make it pop just a little bit more. And that brings us to the end of this cover. So here's what you need to know. Oh, Christina, thank you. I'm so glad that you are loving on that. If you love this cover, if you want this cover, you can buy it right now before I go off air for $100. All you have to do is let me know you want to buy it. Shoot me that email. All the details are on, wrong way, on coveraday.com. You can go check those out. There's literally hundreds of pre-made covers right now. And you can do custom covers as well. Even to the point that I'm a professional photographer and can shoot models that are not stock imagery for you. So there's lots of cool things you can do and see over there. Even if you do not buy covers, but you just want to look at gorgeous covers, go look at them because they're amazing. And we got some really cool things going on over on the Cover a Day page right now. And I may be running a sale soon is all I'm saying. So let me know what kind of genre you want me to do next week. We do go live every single Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on the YouTube page. And we do a different genre every single time. Somebody asked for more of a text-heavy type thing, and you guys voted Goddess today. So here we go. This is what we've got. I am loving how this turned out, and I can't wait to see what we're going to be doing next week. We do vote on Instagram stories every time except for today because I wanted to do this Goddess Ethereal type thing, and I didn't want the vote, over there. We voted here. But we do let you vote every single week, so you can make suggestions and all the fun things. And if you want a custom cover, you can suggest a genre and then sit here and tell me what to do and get a custom cover for $100. I'm just saying it's a great way to live life and get things for really cheap. But if you've got questions, you can let me know, and I will see you next week for our continuation of our live cover creations here on the YouTube page. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell. And do me a favor, watch through my other videos because I'm trying to get this channel monetized so I can keep making videos like this, because it's one of those things where it's like, do something to get paid or do free stuff for my fans because it's fun. So if you can help me get monetized here, that will actually bring in a little bit of money for me. So I need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So sit there and play through my videos. You don't have to watch them. You just have to listen to. You don't have to watch them. You don't have to listen to them. You just have to let them play on the bottom of your screen. So help a girl out and let my videos play for a bit. All right, friends, thanks so much for hanging out. I will see you in the next live stream. Until then, I hope you have a great day.